Hey guys, welcome to Cold Film and Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, we're on a cross-country journey to California to play in the biggest video game tournament ever. So grab your joysticks, put on your power gloves, because we're talking about The Wizard. So let's start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us this week. We are talking about The Wizard, but before we get to that, I just want to say, please fill out a review for us on iTunes and leave comments. We read them at the end of each episode to just read them, I guess, to give you guys shout outs and
to make ourselves feel better.
No, it's to fucking
show appreciation.
Show appreciation and call out those few who are awesome.
Yeah,
Sure.
you few.
That's what it's for.
Tonight we have a record. We have
There's already dissension in the group.
Well, there always is. Tonight we have a record. We have 5 to read for you tonight. 5. So thank you guys. That is awesome. That's the most we've ever had in a week. So
Oh my god.
yeah, keep it up,
That
guys.
is. Yeah, thank you very
That's
much.
really great. Also, want to spread some more news for you, some more cold film news. I know it's crazy. You're like, well, you guys are actually doing stuff. We will be out at the Phoenix Film Festival, so make sure that you guys come out on April 8th. This is the day that we'll be out there in the Party Pavilion. You can come see us, say hi, all
What
that
time?
stuff. What was the times? 2:30, 4:30?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
about that.
So come out, say hi to us then. Also, go see some really great films that are going to be there. I know that's what we're going to be doing the rest of the time that we're there. You may see us in passing and stuff like that. Say hi. Take a picture.
Yeah.
We want to take
Are
pictures
we
with
going to
you.
be wearing our shirts?
I will be.
Fuck yeah.
All right, that's how you can spot us.
We'll be
Yeah.
wearing the Cold Film and Review shirts.
Except for Chris, because he had like kind of a half excited look on his face, like, I don't want to wear that old Jane.
Yeah, I think I claimed that last year too when we were there. I said I'll wear it one day.
Yeah,
I don't need to be wearing it 3 days in a row.
He doesn't like representing the podcast.
If you're wondering who's breaking all the podcast rules that I set, which is don't talk until you're introduced, that would be Kyle Smith,
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Willenbrecht,
Hey, what's up?
and Michael Salustio.
Hi, everyone.
So this is Mike's pick, and if you're wondering about this movie, The Wizard, let me tell you a little bit about it before we get into why Mike picked this. It was directed by Todd Holland, came out in 1989, had a budget of $6 million, made $14 million, was filmed in the U.S., and currently sits at a 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. So if you guys don't know what this movie is about, it's about a boy and his brother who run away from home and hitchhike across country with the help of a girl that they meet to basically make it to the ultimate video game tournament. And it stars Fred Savage. So, like,
Yeah,
what else do you need?
sure does.
Savage. Fred
Fred
Savage.
It
Savage.
stars Fred Savage.
This was Mike's pick. Mike, why did you pick The Wizard?
I picked this movie because when I was a kid, this is like one of my favorite films. I hadn't seen it in a long time. And I remember kind of reading about it online that I may have had, let's just say, the wrong impression as a kid, as I imagine many kids probably did when they saw this film. I really wanted to, since our whole thing on this show is to kind of like look back at these old movies, see how they rate up nowadays. I thought this would be a perfect example of that. It definitely has a cult following, and why not delve back into the old childhood and ruin it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Who had not seen this movie before? Kyle, had you seen this before?
No, I had not seen it before.
So this was your first time viewing?
yes.
Chris, had you seen it before?
I had seen it before, definitely when I was a little kid.
Okay.
Yeah, probably
All
like
right.
6 or 7.
Wow, that young. Yeah. That young, huh? I saw this too when I was younger, probably around that age when I originally saw it. And then I just watched it probably in the last 5 years, honestly, because for some reason, this is one of those movies that just doesn't pop up. It's not one of those ones that just pops up. You
Yeah.
kind of got to look for it to watch it. And when you see it, you're like, oh, yeah, Wizards.
Yeah.
That's so weird because I feel like throughout the course of my life, the cover art for this film has popped up a lot. And
It does.
And I've walked past it quite a bit.
Really, you're never interested, like especially as a kid with like all the video game images on the poster art.
No,
Like, didn't grab your attention?
I never. What? It just always looked like a really cheesy, like poster art. It looked like something. It looked like the poster art of like
Pixels.
a Nickelodeon film or something like that. There's just such a popping of colors, and it just looks low budget.
It looked like the typical '90s kid movie. I think.
You know
I don't
what?
know.
I'm disagreeing.
I'm gonna agree with Kyle. This feels like a made for TV movie.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it because at the time when I watched it as a kid, I thought it was bigger than life. But now seeing it, it really has that feel of just like, TV movies feel like they're pieced together.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna try. It's almost like, okay, when you watch a TV movie, it feels like it's trying to mimic a real movie.
True.
Like there's something wrong with it. Maybe it's because
Commercial
the editing
breaks.
maybe. But this obviously didn't have any commercial breaks. It
It
wasn't
did though.
actual
It
movie.
felt like it.
It did though. That's the weird thing.
If
like,
you count what? The
It
whole
did-
movie is
All
being
the
one
Nintendo
big Nintendo
commercials?
commercial?
yes, and like that.
It is a commercial.
It's scattered with like scenes of Nintendo products, which feels like commercial breaks at certain points. It really does.
Mhm.
So
I don't know. I think I'm gonna a little bit disagree. I don't think it had that true made for TV vibe to it. I really don't. I think it felt like a film, but they just did scatter those advertisements.
yeah, and I do agree with Chris on that because I found, oddly enough, this time around, I found myself involved more with the story than I ever have been before.
Well, I mean, as a
You?
kid,
Yes.
as a
Okay.
kid, you don't care about the story. You care about visuals. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll
like-
agree with that statement too.
I do want to note that the director of this film,
He's done a lot of good movies.
yes.
Yeah. yeah.
Can you name one, please?
He did give me a second.
He was Spider-Man. Does everybody know that?
Mm-mm.
He's the new Spider-Man. Todd Holland.
So-
That's the name, right?
Oh, is that who it is?
Is that it?
Is it
Am
Todd
I wrong?
Todd
Am I
Hall?
wrong? No. What movies did he do?
He's done a lot.
He's done a lot of TV.
Yeah. Larry Sanders Show.
Right, but that's not movies. That's the point
That's
I want
true.
to say is that
He was mostly done in TV. Yeah.
it's almost all really good TV. He's done like Malcolm in the Middle and stuff like that.
He did Malcolm in
but-
the Middle. He did
yeah.
Larry Sanders Show.
But this
He,
is his first feature. That means maybe his only feature film. I don't know.
he did 30 Rock also.
Yeah.
I know the name from it, and maybe I got him and
So
the
I
guy
don't
from
think.
Spider-Man confused.
So Kyle, I don't think we're off in saying that this has a TV feel to it because it
Yeah.
comes from a TV director.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me. It also does have that kind of feel of. I see where you're coming because it kind of feels like a Lifetime movie a little bit.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
like,
a made-for-TV
I
movie.
get where. Yeah, I get where.
Remember
and the
those?
story?
Remember those back in the day, made for TV
yeah,
movies?
and I get what you're saying in the story aspect of it, where it does feel like that. Definitely.
Well, I'd like to say that it does some interesting things with the plot. It does some interesting things. I imagine we'll get to that throughout the course of this episode.
You know what? We'll get to that when we come right back. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what?
Hey, what are you doing April 6th through the 13th?
I don't know, man. I don't think I have any plans.
Well, you should make plans to go down to the Phoenix Film Festival
Oh.
at the Harkins Scottsdale 101.
Awesome.
I hear there's going to be a lot of great films there, a lot
Okay.
of great indie films that everyone's going to want to see.
Everyone?
I know I'm going to want to see them.
Me too.
Also, our podcast, Cult Film and Review, will be there also.
Where are we going to be,
Also,
Cody?
at the Harkins 101 in Scottsdale in the Party Pavilion on April 8th.
And if you don't know what the Party Pavilion is, it's a place where people party.
And we're back. We're talking about Wizards. Let's just get into this convoluted story because from what I gathered from it, they are trying to basically pull off what we like to call in the industry a slow burn reveal.
Oh yeah, it takes the whole fucking
The whole
film.
movie.
You don't understand
think-
what's going on.
I'll let you keep talking, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah. And
Pile jump.
Pile jump.
Pile
Pile
drive?
jump this motherfucker.
Pile jump, whatever.
Pile jump right in this motherfucker with some knowledge. Go on.
Yeah, they do like this slow burn of where they're trying not to reveal what tragedy happened to this family to split this family apart.
Mm-hmm.
And make what's his name Lucas?
Yeah.
Is it Luke? No, not Lucas.
No, Lucas is the
bad
Power
guy.
Glove.
Jimmy. Sorry.
Yeah.
They make and you to kind of finally realize like why Jimmy's crazy.
He's not crazy.
No, he's the Rain Man of video. This is like the Rain Man
I think
for
it's
kids.
understood he has autism.
He's not Rain Man either.
Yeah, he has autism.
No, he
No, he
doesn't.
definitely has autism.
No, he doesn't.
Really?
No, he has an emotional fucking issue watching his sister
No,
die. Yes,
uh,
that is not it. No,
I think it's awesome.
Maybe it's
autism.
Asperger's.
no.
could be
I mean, that's
Asperger's.
autism, but
Okay.
yeah, it's
I'm gonna disagree with all you guys, but keep going.
all right.
No, you were gonna say something about the.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, my response to that was gonna be, oh, you think they consciously were making it a slow burn?
Oh, I consciously think they were trying to make it a slow burn and drag that reveal out as long as they possibly could and hint at it as much as possible.
I felt like
'Cause
I was
that
just
was-
thinking about this. I feel like it wasn't a conscious decision. I feel like, and we can get into it, but it is a hobbled together film, and it feels like they were not sure what they wanted to do with the relationship between the kids, and it kind of came together.
You know why I think it feels like it's a hobbled film is because of the fact that they did focus on that story and instead of revealing it right away, and instead of focusing on the journey of crossing America, like their journey across America is like the one of the most outrageous things in this movie to me.
Well, first off,
Because they're fucking kids, and no one says these kids shouldn't be fucking hitchhiking or like any of this
Yeah,
shit.
they're runaways.
I mean, we covered hitchhiking and Easy Rider, and
Yeah,
I thought
but
it
this
was
is with kids.
I thought it
Chris.
was weird in 1969, but this
I
is
want to state that
1989.
it's America if America consists only of diners, because this entire
Yeah.
film
Yep,
takes
or
place
gas
in
stations.
either a diner, or a gas station, and I'm debating whether it's just one diner that was just shot at different angles.
Or a Geiner.
A Geiner,
Which is a gas station diner
Yeah.
put together.
yeah, obviously a
Geiner.
Geiner. Everybody knows a Geiner.
But it's the weirdest thing. Like I'm like, okay. And then like when the truckers start getting involved, it gets even weirder.
It sure does.
Yeah, if anybody has Asperger's, it's that trucker.
Oh, no. Okay, there is a mental illness abound in this film. It is
Yes.
running rampant because I agree with you. He's also someone where you're like, okay,
Very
he's
simple.
He's a very simple
a
man.
I
simple
think they
man.
meant him to be a very not simple in faculties, but simple in just like his like he was a simple man.
Well, dude, he went.
No, I
working-
took it as mentally simple.
Yeah, you
I
know-
didn't say that. I didn't see that at all. He seemed like he had all of his faculties. He just seemed like a nice, soft-spoken man.
Keep saying
No,
faculties.
he
That's
did
the
not.
word of the night.
he did not have all his faculties.
No,
Some-
I
somebody
think
was on
I
a
agree with
dictionary
Mike.
the other
I
day.
agree with Mike. He posed no threat, and he was like,
That's because of the way he played it. He had to play it that
Unlike-
way.
Wait, what
Unlike-
is threat? What does threat have to do with
I
it?
will
because
tell-
a lot of
will tell you,
truckers
yeah.
do in this movie.
I will exactly. The threat being that a trucker will rob you for essentially $15.
Well, there was
I do not
there was a
understand.
mistake there. Those weren't truckers. Those
Those
were
were-
people just hauling sheep.
Doesn't
hauling
fucking matter.
cattle.
Let me ask you a
haulers.
question. What two adults, even in 1989, are fucking taking some kids cross country and they go, holy shit, a bunch of 1s and 5s. We gotta go ape shit and rob these fucking kids.
Obvious,
you know who
obviously
does that?
Those guys.
People who are hauling sheep,
Appa-
There were cows, but yeah.
cows, and sheep.
It makes no sense that someone at this time would go so crazy over such an
Dude, you don't know.
minute-
This is like the boonies, man. Maybe that's like
okay,
winning the
No,
lotto.
it seems really
no,
ridiculous.
it
It's
does not seem-
1s and 5s.
Hold on, it does not.
there are some
seem,
20s and a 50 in
It
there.
does not
No.
seem ridiculous because they there was. It's a kids movie, so you can only play it. So you have to play it so safe with like the actual drama that you can show with them like going across country, which in all honesty would probably be way worse than what they fucking
But-
went through. Like, so they kind of like church it up a bit.
I don't know. I
But
don't
why
know.
couldn't they have made it $150?
Because they didn't win that much
Can
yet
I-
because they didn't know he was
can I
the
tell you,
wizard.
the
That
No,
amount-
they didn't win that much money to begin with.
No, they don't.
No, that's the
He
money.
says
That's the money
exactly
from
how
the bus
much-
ticket they traded
He
in.
says exactly how
Yeah.
much money it is. It's like $37 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
For
how
And
a
then they
bus
say,
ticket?
and then they say, and then she says, "What about the $10 that's in your pants or your boot or whatever?"
Right.
And then he's just like, "Okay," and then he
That's
pulls out.
$4.
So
yeah, it was 4.
it's such small amounts of money that you would think that like adult men
Yeah.
driving,
Hey,
it's
this
enough
is
to get them.
1989.
It's enough to get them what halfway to where they're
No.
trying to get
I
gas.
took that scene as these guys picked up a couple of kids hitchhiking, but but then they realize these kids have a bunch of fucking money. Why are we giving them a free ride?
I feel like the weird thing about
But it's
that,
not a bunch of money.
The weird thing about that whole scene though is the fact that like the way that it was all posed leading up to that was like, oh, these are just nice truckers. I know them. And they had absolutely there was no introduction to their characters. There was no anything that you could surmise from them. And then all of a sudden they just see money and turn into animals and like tear kids out of a fucking truck and throw them on the side of the road.
That's real life, Chris.
I don't think so.
I took it as that Haley didn't really.
She had no idea what the fuck she was talking about throughout the whole
She
movie.
was kind
She's
of
a bullshit
poser.
artist.
She was kind of a
She's a
poser.
bullshit. Yeah, she's a bullshit artist.
Well, I mean,
I don't think
She-
so.
she was
She
lying.
obviously did know truckers.
she
Obviously.
does.
She obviously
She
does.
does.
But
She
those
does, but
weren't
she-
truckers.
Yeah, she severely misreads.
That was
Well, yeah.
just some guys hauling cattle.
I think she was trying
In
to
a
be tough.
pickup.
Obviously, she was trying to be tough. Like
exactly.
that was
Like
a huge
I said,
part
she
of
was
her
posing.
character.
She was prop. You know.
I mean,
I like how we're getting so
What else?
angry about this.
What else? What else? Like, because I have this question in here. Like, what is the strangest part of this movie? Because I feel like there's a lot. I have one scene in particular that is burned in my mind that I cannot get out, and I cannot fucking figure out why it's there.
I can tell you what it is.
What is it?
It's Christian Slater's dick.
What is Dick's in the movie? Missed that part.
Okay, so when he gets out of the first scene, they're talking to the dad, and they're kind of revealing about like, what about Jimmy? Well, Jimmy, they're gonna put him, and they're talking about all this stuff. And Fred Savage gets mad, and he runs outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize he's a landscaper because what the fuck are all these bushes doing everywhere? And like Christian Slater comes out, and I'm not joking. If you zoom in.
You got to zoom in.
There's either no. You don't have to. You don't have to. In as much as you didn't have to zoom in Labyrinth to see fucking
Gotcha. Bowie's.
Bowie's dick.
It's not an actual dick. It's behind the jeans dick.
There's either a very large tube sock in there, or a very small
large
cinder
tube
brick.
sock.
Because
cinder brick.
I'm not even joking. Like there is something going on in his jeans that looks like just a square. It's just like a jockstrap action going on in there.
What?
I'm telling you right now.
Who pointed this out to you?
Maybe that's
when
part-
I watched the film. I was like,
there's
"What's
little
going
things you
on
pick up.
here?"
Mine's not that one. Mine's not that one, but equally as bad.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
Okay, tell me.
The fucking old man in the Speedo. Did anyone pick up on this?
Yes, at the bar.
Like licking his lips
At
and
the
shit.
bar, like licking his lips and like being real creepy. He's also wearing one red sock.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's about to say something, but never says anything.
Yeah, I was waiting for what he had, and that
It's
was
the
it.
weirdest thing I've ever seen in the movie. He's like a background dude. It pulls out. I'm like, why is he just wearing one red
That's
sock?
not the owner of that casino that let him film
and-
there.
Yeah, and he's like, looks crazy as shit. And I'm like, and that's the other thing too. I'm like, you cut from this scene, right? Of this girl like looking real good in a bathing suit, like getting out of the pool, and you do. And then it cuts to because they're showing like the nightlife or the life, the Reno. They're showing it.
Yeah.
They're showing the poolside stuff. So it's like a girl getting out of the pool and she's in a bikini with a towel.
Sure.
And then like the next scene, it cuts to that bar thing, and it's an old man in a Speedo with
Like a
one
bright
red spot.
green Speedo.
Yes.
Well, that's what you do in kids' movies. If you show a little, titillation, you got to back that up with old Speedo.
They did some weird things in this movie for sure. I do think the Putnam character, the one who's chasing him down, chasing after him, like
The professional kidnapper.
yeah, the professional kidnapper. I thought
Very
that whole
creepy.
concept was strange.
It
And
was very
creepy.
weird.
Not only was it strange, but how many times did they bring up? He grabbed my breast.
yeah, that
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. I was like, they said that.
That was quick thinking on her part.
That was quick thinking
Quick
on her
thinking
part,
on her
but how
part.
is that guy still alive? Because number one, truckers would have killed him.
Yeah.
I would think. I would.
Well, they
hope.
beat the
I think
sh-
anybody would. And
they beat
plus,
the shit
how
out
did
of
he
him.
not get arrested when he was in the casino for touching her breast?
Well, I mean, dude, the law is very vacant in this film. Like
Yes.
in general, like
That's true.
you've got
There's
the
the one
Putnam
scene in the
character
beginning.
and the dad are like having fucking bumper cars with the trucks in the middle of
That's
town, and
also crazy.
somebody's just watching and laughing like
Another day.
another
Even-
day on Main Street.
Even the fact that there is a Putnam character, You know, there's another person that you can call when you're trying to find kids that ran away. They're called the police. Yeah, and they don't fucking exist.
Well, the thing was, he tried to get them involved, but I guess the kid had run away too many times already, so they were like, I can't keep him on for this. This is ridiculous.
Because that's how police work?
Yeah,
Well, maybe in a small town.
Small town police. All right, you've used up your missing child
Yeah.
allotment for the year.
At this point, you fucking go find him.
Your vouchers are expired. We can't go look for your kid
Maybe
anymore.
next fiscal calendar you'll get a few more from us. I don't know.
So it seems. Yeah, they were, and it was bizarre that I forgot Christian Slater was even in this fucking movie.
Me too. Until I
film.
started again, and I was like, "Holy fuck, Christian Slater's in this movie."
You know what's crazy about it is that just shows you how popular the Wonder Years was at this time. That the fucking main star of this motherfucker is Fred Savage.
Yep.
Yeah. Who, by the way, is a great actor. Actually,
No,
Does a
this
solid
movie.
film.
No,
Yeah.
the actors in this movie are not bad.
no.
Like,
Well, all
Fred's-
of them are really big.
Like, Bo
child
Bridges
stars.
was great.
Yeah,
Christian Slater was great. What's her name?
Jenny Lewis.
Jenny
Dude,
Lewis.
I
Thank you. Was
also
great.
didn't realize she was in this movie, and
Jenny
I know
Lewis-
she was a child star. I like
She's
her
a
for-
child star and one of my favorite musicians.
Yeah, she's great. She's got a beautiful
Fucking
voice.
Solid. Like I love Rilo Kiley. It's like one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, I was very actually that made this film better for me.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, cool.
Well, even Luke Edwards, who plays Jimmy, did
Yeah.
a fucking fantastic job. That kid.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like I'll go into the ending here when they go to California, which is that
The
stop,
dinosaur place.
the dinosaur place.
What is
Pee Wee
it called?
Herman
The
set?
Yes.
yeah, it is. It's
Well,
but
they
there's a
bring
name
up-
for
and they
it.
mentioned Pee Wee
Pee Wee
Herman.
Herman in the film.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird.
Anyways, when they go there and he's going through the box and they're like laying out the stuff and he's like, "Oh, you wanted to like rest her in a nice place, dude." I was teary eyed as a motherfucker.
Didn't get
I
me.
was
Didn't get
no,
me either.
I was like, well, I
Nope.
have a heart, and that's the difference.
But I'll tell you right now, that spot, I mean, like being, I think, growing up in our era and being cult film fans, I mean, this is like, that's like
it's
Yeah.
a famous location.
it's a famous location. Has anyone been there?
Nope.
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 Never, neither. But
driven past it.
I definitely,
We should
you
go to
do.
it.
If you go to LA, apparently,
yeah, I've
you
driven,
have
I've
to
driven,
pass it.
I've driven past it,
but I don't recall. I've driven to LA.
I've driven
I just
past.
don't
You know
recall ever
what's
going
interesting?
past it.
Driving the highways and stuff of Arizona, I've driven past a lot of fake dinosaurs in both directions. If you jump on the 40 and head
Really?
towards New Mexico, there's like a whole line of like raptors and T-Rex.
No, he's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
all right.
I don't know what it is, but Arizona just loves their fake dinosaurs next to the
Is
road.
this where they're finding all the dinosaur bones
I don't
in the
think
desert?
they've ever found
Oh,
dinosaur
okay.
bones.
Yeah,
out
they
in
have.
the
I
weird.
mean, I know that there's a petrified forest that I've been to.
So
Dinosaur bones.
dinosaur bones.
with all the
Petrified
wackiness,
forest is petrified wood.
yeah, I know, but
Yeah, it's petrified wood.
Dinosaur bones.
there's
So.
some dinosaur bones.
Dinosaur
in there.
bones.
There gotta be dinosaur bones in there.
With all the wackiness that is in this movie, what do you think particularly makes this a cult film? Is it the Nintendo product placement? Is it the Universal product placement, the Universal Hollywood product placement, or is it this crazy fucking drama story that is thrown into a video game movie?
As
Essentially,
the first time watcher, I'm going to take that one first.
Go for it.
It's almost 100% Nintendo because of the Nintendo product placement. Because you yourself, Cody, and I think some of you guys may have mentioned this as well. It wasn't until this viewing that you actually dug into
True.
the story that's there. So what people are latching onto is this like the scene of the Power Glove being used, and like it's very reminiscent of your childhood and all these things. And seeing Super Mario Brothers 3 for the first time, it's all Nintendo. That's the cult.
which is like the greatest video game of all time. So.
I mean, and I'm not 100%. I think Grand Theft Auto, one of the Grand Theft Autos, beat it out. But for the longest time, this was the biggest selling video game. Was Mario Brothers 3, and it was in partial due to this film.
yeah.
This film,
Imagine all the kids seeing this shit in theaters.
I did see it in theater, Kyle. I'll tell you what it was fucking like. Okay.
You got Super Mario Bros. 3, didn't you?
I lost my shit and I ran exactly to a Toys R Us and I fucking pulled it out of those stupid little plastic envelopes that back in
you
the
had
day.
the little card.
Yeah.
Take it up to the cage.
Yep.
You took the little slip out and you went up to the cage and they said, "Here you go." I absolutely told my mother we're getting that game, and we got that game. And guess what? It is one. I mean, it, like Cody said, it's one of the best NES games ever.
yeah.
But this movie, I mean, to integrate an introduction to a game that's about to come out.
Yeah.
in such a way, especially the way that video games were being released at the time. It's not like now. You couldn't pull this shit now.
Yeah.
You couldn't be like Grand Theft Auto 7. It'd be like, you know, like we knew that was going to happen.
Sure.
Now, I mean, Mario Brothers 3, that's a fucking nuts ass game.
Well,
to fucking
keep in mind
pull.
too that at the time they even call it out in the movie. I mean, at the time there was only 97 games. Think about it.
Well, that's incorrect.
That's definitely incorrect.
It's incorrect. 100%.
And by 89, that's way incorrect.
Yeah. So there. Now I'm trying to figure.
Maybe in tournament play. Maybe
No,
he's talking tournament
I'm
play.
actually thinking what they meant was
97 Nintendo Entertainment branded games.
yes. That's
Yes.
what I'm thinking
It
he
was
means.
97
Because they like I read on IMDb and they were like, well, this is incorrect. It's like really like 280 something, which is
Yeah,
they were-
but third-party games don't count.
third party.
It's all
yeah.
about Nintendo.
I'm
Entertainment
wondering if it was
branded.
only Nintendo licensed video
That
games.
would make sense. That would
But
make sense.
that being said, the games in this movie are not all
Yeah.
Nintendo
Ninja
licensed.
Gaiden, right? Is not.
Ninja Gaiden, fucking Double Dragon is not.
Nope.
Definitely Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Konami. Really the only one is Super Mario Brothers, and I mean Top Gear is not. I mean not Top Gear. Rad Racer is not. That's a Square Enix
Yeah.
game or Square game. I can't even remember.
Yeah, maybe
Almost
some-
all of them are
Yeah.
not, except for Mario
They're
Brothers.
playing
3.
Metroid.
That's one.
They're playing
You're right.
Metroid in it.
You're right. You're right.
I'm trying to think of some other ones, but they're playing Mega
Was
Man in
Contra in
it.
there?
Well,
Did I
that's
see
Capcom.
Contra?
Capcom. Yeah.
Contra was in it for sure.
Yeah.
Konami.
Yeah. Yeah. There's.
Well,
I mean,
They
either
said
way.
they stated in '97. I'm going to just because it is this film basically exists as a commercial for Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'm going to hedge my
Go
bet
with-
that
yeah.
it is referring to the '97
Go with the legal
licensed
route.
games by '89.
Honestly, I think you're 100% right. And I think if we look back in the history and we really delved into it, like I imagine no historian has done, and we're doing it for the first time on this show.
I do want
Sure.
to touch on
I
the.
think you're right, Kyle. I think you're right.
Chris, why do you think it's called film?
No, I don't want to talk about that. I want to.
We're done with that.
No,
Fuck it,
I wanted
man.
to bring back up the fact that you also asked about Universal Studios,
Yeah.
and I don't think that this was only just a Nintendo commercial.
No, it wasn't. It
They
was-
totally showcased Universal and like everything that almost everything it had to offer, including how King Kong worked. I was shocked to find out that they would actually show how that ride operated, like underneath, because I was like, that kind of takes away the fun element of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I can see the fucking 2x4s down there holding it up, like.
Let me say this though, Chris. If we're talking about how Universal worked and they showcased that, this is what I gathered from this movie. The tram ride used to include a King Kong thing that I never got to see in my life, and apparently Frankenstein and the Wolfman followed you around. That's all Universal was in the '80s.
My
so
mom has pictures of her with that Frankenstein. Maybe not that exact one, but
It was
one,
that same one.
Could have been that same guy. She should have got his autograph.
does
but-
Frankenstein know how to
but-
spell?
But they like. Do you think that was because like what's the most fun thing a kid can go do like if they're traveling to California? Because the word California is said so many times like in this film, I lost count.
Yeah.
So they were really playing that up, and they're like, "What's the most fun thing a kid could go to?" Do you think it was like we're gonna plug Universal because
it's either Universal or Disneyland, and maybe that was the thing. Like maybe Universal was like, let's get with
Universal would be totally cool with a video game competition. I doubt Disneyland would
Yep,
be cool
I
with
agree.
that.
I agree.
So I mean I don't
Not
know.
only that, but
What are
Gamegeddon-
Universal's financial ties to Nintendo USA? Can we Google that real quick?
Well,
We're gonna
okay.
solve this
Can I
right
say
now.
I can tell you that during this time, Nintendo was trying to branch their product out quite a bit into movies. Because I know Super Mario Brothers, the movie, that was like an independent film. Like some people in like Argentina made that film.
Hmm.
Like they were desperate to try to like we got to jam our stuff into pop culture. Because I mean, it's hard to believe it now because Nintendo is so ingrained in everything at this point
Mhm.
that
Can't put out a good system, but yeah.
we don't know. You know what the Switch?
We haven't
don't
played the
know.
Switch yet. We don't
We
know
haven't
that.
played it yet. You know what?
We
Let's
don't know that.
Just go on YouTube.
stick to cult film, Kyle. We don't know anything about video games. We're not making a comment.
God damn.
It's just as far as I know, they were really desperately trying to.
Well, because '89, you have the death of the arcades. Like honestly, the arcades are
Which is so
89?
funny because in this game in this movie, they don't make it seem like
No
that.
way. It's in every podunk gas station along the way.
And not only that, but 40-year-old businessmen play it. And then,
Right,
and dude,
I
I was
was
three.
so
I was
weird.
3 years old in '89, and when I was
That made-
7, I was still finding arcades and gas stations
Dude,
and
that's-
comic book shops all over
There
the
were
place.
still arcades, but the popularity of arcades were like,
no, I'm sure
they were
the
in, like
home
you said,
entertainment system was
it was-
definitely bringing
yeah,
it in, but
no.
they were still everywhere.
You were saying arcades in gas stations and in like standalone fucking arcades were on their way out.
There were still
that
plenty
point.
they
until.
were. Okay, well, I want to say I disagree a little bit because
Go ahead.
Why? Wait, we got pissed about me making commentary on video games. Now we're making commentary on arcades and their life expectancy. Let's
Well-
stick to cult films.
hold on. No, that's not what I meant. What I'm saying is there was a whole resurgence of the street fighting genre. Street Fighter 2 didn't come out in 1989.
No.
Right, but then it was like Mortal Kombat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So arcades, like, they were on there. I imagine maybe they were on some sort of decline.
There's a swoop.
And then, yeah, it kind of came back up, and then now fighting games started. Because, I mean, that
Fighting games and yet first-person shooters, like all those came out post '89.
Yeah.
There was
The
some really
technology got better.
There were some really heavy-handed moments, though, for the Nintendo console in this film. Carrying it around, plugging it into any TV you could possibly find.
I like that.
Sitting in a gas station that just happens to have a TV ready for a gaming system to be hooked up to.
I know.
it.
All I was thinking was like that gas station
What do
had a
you mean-
color
hold
TV.
on.
That
That
whole that whole fucking
You
scene.
think that was the heavy-handedness?
Well, no, the whole scene where
Part
like
of it.
where they're in the hotel
Part of
room.
it for sure.
Where they're in the hotel room and Christian Slater's like, "I'm pissed, Dad. I'm getting
Yeah.
the gaming set."
They're
He-
showcasing how mobile
Yeah.
this game system
yeah,
is.
and then he wakes up and Dad's freaking out on it in the morning.
That's where I was gonna put this. It's bigger. I feel like it's bigger than just carrying it around. Not
No,
only
it's part of it. Though,
brings
is what we're
families
saying.
together.
not only that, it fixed their broken fucking dad.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does,
Like
really.
video games is what made him be able to enjoy life again after his daughter died.
Right,
I wonder how many
In a
kids.
tragic accident.
I wonder how many kids went to this movie, saw this movie, and were like, "We're gonna just to get Dad to play some video games."
That's
Well,
what it was. They were selling it
family
to
would
the
get so
parents.
much
They were selling
better.
it to the parents. I
Well,
agree.
Well, I
Bring it to
mean,
the parents.
isn't that the Nintendo originally? I mean, in Japan, it's called the Famicom, right? I mean, isn't that the family computer?
Yes.
And it was meant to bring. I mean, and even to this day, Nintendo's whole
Yeah.
thing
Not
is
even-
all about like let's bring the families together.
That's
let's
like
bring
what Wii was. Like when the Wii came
not
out,
even-
it
well,
That's
really.
what Wii means. We, everybody.
That's every,
we are
that's,
we.
That's
Yeah.
every video game system now. Like apparently is like trying to replace the home entertainment center, so that's where all their family usually gathers around. With that being said, though, let's gather around a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the Wizard.
So, you the wizard?
No, he is.
This guy? I don't get it. Is he like a poster child for someone?
For your information, butthead, he's headed for the video championships in Los Angeles.
Is that right? Well, let's just see how good he is then. Guys? Pick any game you want. I'm good at all of them. I have 97 of them.
You know all 97 of them? What is that? I don't know.
Power glove.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about the Wizard. I want to ask you guys: did you have a favorite character or a least favorite character in this movie? Let's start with Chris.
Favorite character is gonna be Jenny Lewis, and I actually I liked the dad.
Let me ask you this question though:
Bridges?
Why
Yeah.
what made Jenny Lewis your favorite character? Because I'm kind of curious about that.
I just like that she kind of like that they made her like a strong, young kid, young female who like obviously had, she came from like not the best childhood, but like I don't know, she just seemed really independent.
Because I do have a question about her in the end of this film.
Okay.
How old is she in this movie?
No, like Was she just like, were they going to take her back home?
Yeah,
was
that's
she
what I
just
wanted to
going
know,
with
too.
the family?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did
They
they just take
adopted her.
Like, yeah, they never get, like her storyline never gets
It
sewn
doesn't
up.
get
Yeah,
resolved.
where's that dad at?
Yeah, you never
Where's
see
that dad at?
For all I know, Spanky's the dad. You know, it's like he was there more than the real dad.
That's that. I mean, that's true. You don't
Yeah.
see the. I mean,
There's no resolution to her story, whatever. You're just like, oh, happy ending, but you're like, is it really for her?
it's weird because her character is, I mean, essentially a catalyst. She's supposed to, you know, here's the thing. She's supposed to be your typical, like, just romantic, like, draw. Like, I guess, I can't say she's a manic pixie dream girl.
Mhm.
I guess if you could have one if you're that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, she is only there for somewhat to be Fred Savage's romantic
Interest.
counterpart, but at the same time, like, she kind of drives a lot of the whole fucking story.
Yeah.
She's the one that discovers that Jimmy has that he does something special about him in video games. She's the one that actually gets him to actually play against other people. That drives him to go to California to do the whole video game apocalypse or whatever the hell it was called, Armageddon.
Yep.
And on top of that, she gets them to most of the places. Like, they can't do any of this without her because she's the only one with street smarts.
I mean,
She's
Fred,
not a throwaway character.
Fred Savage does come in and balance it out a bit because he's got some street smarts as well.
He does not have street smarts, man.
no,
He's
yeah.
blown his money on googly
Well,
eyes
hold
and
on
shit.
a second. No, it's not necessarily true because first of all, he's the one
Big
who
ass noses.
initially finds out. Like, he's the one who goes and talks to the salesmen and gets them to make the bet or whatever. He's the one who's questioning, like, this isn't really, like, this doesn't feel right to be riding with these dudes. No, I know truckers. I know
know what?
truckers. Like, and then they end up getting screwed over. I mean, he does have.
You're right. I take that back. You're right, Chris. There's a lot of.
She plays
actually
both.
quite a
She plays
few
both. She
scenes
definitely helps propel, but she also creates chaos along
I mean,
the
she's
way.
she's a horrible crafts player.
No.
I know that she won, but you don't play Hard 8. What the fuck?
You do.
Hard 8.
You
Are
do.
You fucking kidding me?
You do if you want to win big, Mike.
If you
want
wanna
to
win
win big.
I mean, that was
fucking Reno.
that was a big risk.
Yeah, and
She took it.
Big reward.
Paid off.
Big reward.
Poor fucking Spanky only got $100 back.
So
no,
I'm
we got $10
You got
back.
$10 back.
$10. Jesus
What about
Christ.
you? What about you, Mike? Well, who's your favorite character?
Jenny Lewis.
Really?
And I can tell you, I'm gonna for someone that at this age. So I was 9 when this film came out. Fuck, did I have a crush on Jenny Lewis in this movie?
Yeah.
I absolutely. It was like everything like a little kid wanted. Like it was. I was Fred Savage in that movie, and I had a mega crush on Jenny Lewis. And it's weird because like my girlfriend loves Rilo Kiley. She introduced me to that band. And she was like, do you know who that girl is? And I was like, no, I don't. She was like a big child star. And I was like, oh, really? What was she in? And she named off a bunch of like commercials and shows. And then she said The Wizard. And immediately I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
That's that girl?
that's that girl that I had a big, like, I
Right.
mean, really did kind of shape. I mean, everybody at that, like, when you're 9, 10, 11, 12, you have crushes on a lot of girls. Like, I had a crush on Alyssa Milano when she was in Who's the Boss? And, there was that. But, I mean, I do remember that Jenny Lewis in this movie specifically, and I think it's a lot of what Chris was saying, that she was, like, super independent.
Yeah.
And
She kind of took control
She-
and like
yeah,
kind of
not
like
only that, but
helped
she-
guide the situation.
Right. She took you to a different, like, she took you out into the real world. And if you were a kid, like, at the time, you're living in your parents' house, you're playing fucking Nintendo games, which is the only reason you would go to see this fucking movie, is because all you did all day long is play video games and never play sports.
And never leave the house.
And never leave the house. Right. Yeah, she took you out into the real world where there were truckers and you could take a fucking hitchhike and you could go all these places and stuff like that. So it was like an adventure that this girl would take you on.
Right.
But also she was like, it was weird. Yeah, but I
mean,
did.
The whole setup of it was weird to begin with. Like, just her, like, did they ever clear up, like, where was she trying to go with that bus ticket? Did they ever say?
Back
Back home to her house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where was she? Like, I
That
mean,
I
why
don't
was she
know.
there?
That's what I don't understand. She
Because she was on a trip with her dad in his truck, and he kicked her out early.
and so she had to get on the bus.
So
to
he
go
gave
back
her
home.
money to get on a bus and go back home.
I mean, it's unbelievable because now when you look back on it as an adult, you're like, holy fucking shit, that girl. I mean, first of all,
it was
could
safer times back then.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
The fact that
Kinda
you look
safer
back
than
on
today.
it, like, there's no way that this could have been squeaky clean as it is. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just throw your kid out in the street.
Well, you know. We don't know the dad, so we just gotta assume he's just a piece of
I'd
shit.
like to assume the adults were a little more concerned, like with when you see three kids hitchhiking, one looks like he's like 7 or 8 years old. You know what I mean? That you're just kind of like, that doesn't.
Yeah, but when
something's
you stop
wrong.
and ask him and they tell you he's a wizard,
That's a weird
you just let it go.
Then they're really taking your ass to the mental institution.
What about-
he's
what-
a wizard?
What about you, Kyle? Who was your favorite character?
I actually really liked the dad in it. I like the progression that character has because he really does start out in the first bit of the film. You kind of hate him because you don't fully understand what's going on. You don't understand why he doesn't care about Jimmy. And then as the film progresses, he grows as a character. He gets into video games. He's doing whatever he can to fight this fucking kidnapper, this professional kidnapper guy off. Like he wants to fight him at every turn, and it's just a really cool. I don't know. He just seemed like a really cool dad.
That and the development with him and Christian Slater and their relationship, I thought was pretty good because he's my favorite too.
Yeah.
Bo Bridges is my favorite character in this movie too.
I mean, Bo Bridges, and let's be honest, like Bo Bridges is the other Bridges brother that you don't know that you love. Like, it's true. Like, there's another Bridges brother, but you never think it's Bo. But then when you see Bo, you're like, oh, yeah.
Well, what made Bo
It's
look
Jeff's brother. Or, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
it's true.
I
It's
think
true.
what made
You
him-
forget about Bo.
But
You
made-
do forget about Bo.
what made his character look even better though was standing next to that fucking dickhead stepdad.
Oh, he was great.
Who generally plays the asshole in a lot of. I mean, he
all
did.
the movies.
His
Yeah.
character was for like the whole '90s and '80s was just like, I'm the fucking
I'm a car salesman, asshole.
I married your mom. Like, that's
I'm a
almost
lawyer.
his role.
She came for the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yep. Who did you have a least favorite character in this movie?
Fucking Jimmy.
What?
I'm sorry, but even
Get
as
the
a
fuck out of here.
How?
even
Fuck you.
Where's your heart?
even as a kid,
Black is the ace of spades. That's
Right
his
there.
heart.
even as a kid, I could not stand the whole California.
Yeah.
Like, that would drive me nuts as a
Oh, I'm
kid.
sorry. He watched his sister die in
I'm
a
with you
his
on that,
accident.
Mike.
Let's,
You know what?
let's
Hold
see
on.
how cold you'd be to that.
Yeah.
To my defense, you don't know that till the end.
True.
So I went through
You
the
know
whole
that
film hating him.
at the 35-minute mark. It's exactly the middle of the movie when they revealed that. So you're holding out being an asshole to the bitter end. I see how it is.
Jimmy's not one of my favorites either, Mike.
Yeah, okay, thank you,
No.
Chris.
Who's your least favorite, Chris?
Yeah, next to Jimmy and like the mom, who was like a throwaway.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the most despised would be Putnam, but I thought the acting was great and he was funny. Like, so, kind of saved it. But
Yeah, he's just he's my least favorite character, and I agree with you. He's my least favorite character, but I agree with what you just said. And that my reason that I don't like him is because it's just such a fucking
That's what he
weird.
represents.
Yeah.
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 No, he's definitely my least favorite character too. But I'm not gonna say he's a bad. He's a solid fucking actor and solid performance. Because why else would I hate him so much?
Oh, I wanted to say one other favorite actor that I have. It's Tobey Maguire's mullet. Solid in this one. Tobey Maguire's. It's his first film.
Really?
It's his first film. Yeah, he was an extra.
Uncredited.
Which one was he?
He is okay. So after what is it? Video game Armageddon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Video
Yeah.
Armageddon.
Video Armageddon. There's like a scene where like Lucas is like looking back, like they look back and Lucas is up there and he has his like posse, right?
Yeah.
And they're like on some like steps or
Oh,
something.
and he's like, I think you did pretty good, man.
Right.
Shut up and go get me a Coke.
Right. And, well, Tobey Maguire's like off to the left.
Oh, okay.
And he just kind of like, he doesn't say any lines or anything like
Ah.
that. But it's like his first film.
Goon
Resounding
number one.
performance.
So is this? I don't think Mike picked this movie for this reason, but does this movie kind of, or is it the perfect example of what Mike always says about '80s kids movies,
What do you mean?
where it's this
Kids facing real life
Life,
danger.
not only real life danger, but also like super depressing situation. Like,
Well, I want to say,
Yep.
I mean,
I think you're right.
does this
yeah.
like really prove his point? Like,
mine was to clarify. Mine was specifically that 80s films were scarier.
Yeah.
They had more at stake
yeah,
than when 90s
It's real
did.
life
But
danger.
can I say this is 89, and there actually is like we've already talked about. The danger in this film is really not danger. I mean,
it's churched up danger.
it's churched up danger.
But
yeah, I
the-
would agree with that.
But the actual like storyline is pretty damn dark for a kids movie.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
real
I
dark.
would agree. There's
It's a
death in
sad
it.
story.
There's death in
And
it.
it definitely deals with death, and it deals with either abandonment, or like for all these kids, like and like or mental issue, possible mental issue. We'll say that since we can't all agree. Possible mental issues with a younger brother. It's
some heavy.
It's some really heavy shit that you're trying to wrap around video games.
It's some heavy shit to just to promote Super Mario Brothers 3.
Right?
I could have gone a little lighthearted with it, a little more lighthearted.
That's what I'm saying. Like what was Nintendo thinking?
I think they. Honestly, like I said, I think they wanted to get into the market.
Because it's just like I was after watching this, I was like, this movie, like it attempted to be a very like I don't know if it was successful at it. Like, well, I do know, but it attempted to be a very deep, meaningful movie as far as like this story about a family who's basically falling apart because of a tragic death that happened.
Yeah,
and like them just trying to cope and come back to some sort of normalcy for like every family member in this family.
But you know what, Cody? None of that matters. Because all you gotta do is go buy Super Mario Bros. 3.
That's all you gotta do. Your dad will come back.
Yeah.
Sure will.
Just get an NES, Super Mario Bros. 3.
You don't have to worry about your dad will come back, or if your dad doesn't come back, you don't have to worry about it because you'll find a new family.
Just give it to
divorce paperwork on Science itself.
Oh, should just give it to that shitty stepdad and saw if he came through.
No, he even turned around at the end though in this movie. Even he's like, well, I guess he's not that messed up because he can play video games.
No, all he said was, well, that was pretty amazing. Yeah. And that was it.
He has at least one skill.
And then all of a sudden it was like California again. And he's like, oh, what's this kid doing again?
Right.
That he was just an asshole from start to finish. I'm done.
I'm done with this episode. I'm finished. You guys want to rate this Mammer Jammer?
I mean, why not?
Let's rate it. Let's do it. What are we gonna rate it?
Fucking Power Gloves. What else are we gonna rate
I
this?
agree. We should rate it Power Gloves. You know what? I'll take the reins on this one first.
You just go ahead and do that.
Oh man. Thanks.
Good for you, Chris.
Thank you.
That's so
Thanks for
funny.
taking me off that.
Oh my God. So what? You get called out on first for your ratings.
See, that's what happens when you sit right across from the host. Is they just they see you and go, Chris.
Yeah. Well,
even if it's not Chris.
See what I'm always doing? I'm always looking at my laptop because it's like, well, Kyle's doing something audio related. I don't want to bother him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit Chris first.
I need a laptop. Mike has a laptop.
You got no reason to have a laptop.
No.
all them perks from the job, all them tablets. So I'll go first. I'm in a weird place with this movie. I oddly like this movie. I find it funny and fun and weird and strange, and I got invested into the characters where I cared about them, and I did care like what happened between Christian Slater and Beau Bridges, and what happened between Jimmy and what's the fucking Fred Savage's character's name? I can't think of his name right now.
Question. What is
Fred
his name?
Savage.
We haven't
Fred
even talked
Savage.
about it.
Corey.
Fred
Sorry.
Savage.
Fred Savage.
Corey, and I cared about their relationship and Corey wanting to like being the driving force of trying to make some sort of normalcy out of his family and not letting his brother be put in a home. And just even with Jenny Lewis, like her character, like I connected with all these characters, even though there was like outlandish crazy stuff. I connected and was still emotionally attached throughout the storyline. Like I said, even at the end to where I was like teary eyed, like I got emotional with it. But there's just a lot of weirdness around it. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's a fun movie. I see why there's a cult following. If you're a Nintendo fan too, there's a lot to look at with that. I have fun with this movie. I'm solid 3 for me. I can't even explain it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Let's go with Kyle next.
I'm gonna go 2.5 on this one, middle of the road. First time viewing it, there was a lot of stuff in this movie that I enjoyed. There was stuff that I took away. The stuff that I enjoyed had nothing to do with Nintendo. There was a great like you called out with like Beau Bridges, the character of the dad. There's a lot of great character development with I can't remember any of the characters right now. The redheaded chick,
Haley.
Yeah, so with like Haley and the way she interacted with Jimmy and Corey and stuff, and I thought that stuff was good. I think the film itself, from a story, is kind of fractured and doesn't know what it is, or maybe it just doesn't know what direction it wants to go to the most. It's like it's a movie that's trying to pull so hard in both being a video game movie and a serious family kind of drama that it kind of gets mangled up in the middle a little bit. So, middle of the road for me. So 2.5. I think it's a fun movie. Check it out. But I mean, it's no Congo.
No, it's not. It's not a Congo. It's definitely not. It's one of those ones that you can revisit every like 5 years and get some entertainment out of it. Chris.
I was actually surprised with this movie. I thought what I was going to get was a lot worse than what I ended up seeing. I actually did enjoy the film. I could see a lot of the odd moments about it a lot clearer now that I'm older seeing it. Definitely paid less attention to the Nintendo advertising, but I still think that part of it is cool. So loved Fred Savage's character. Thought he was a good actor. Jenny Lewis is a good actor. The father, I forget his real name.
Bo Bridges.
Bo Bridges.
Good actor. It didn't really bother me that it was soft and, kind of lighthearted, like for the most, like what you said, it was saying like a TV movie, it kind of had that feel to it. That didn't bother me very much, but, at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to like go out and be like, this movie's super awesome. It's just kind of like, yeah, check it out. If you're interested in seeing what all the hype was about Super Mario Brothers 3 and, using child actors on a kid adventure story from, the late 80s. I'm going to give it a 2.5. It's not a bad rating. It's right down the middle. It's just average. So check it out if you want.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree a little bit with Chris and Kyle a little bit. Here's the thing. Like when I saw this film, if you asked 9-year-old Mike, fucking 5. Fucking Wizard gets a 5. Nowadays, looking back on it and stuff like that, I mean, it just. I guess the word that I have to say about the film that would really bring my score down is contrived. It just feels like it's pieced together. It's just kind of like put together with duct tape. Like quite honestly. Plot is put together with duct tape. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be a film that is pushing Nintendo products? Does it want to be a good movie? I feel like they tried their best to compromise the two things, and they just didn't quite pull it off. But there's so much I still love about this film, and maybe it comes from nostalgia. The idea of it, like the idea of what this film meant to me as in my childhood. But God, like the film itself is not. It's not horrible, and if you did not come from my generation, I would still advise you to go watch this film because it's a little.
I did it.
You did it. And you know what? You gave it a 2.5. You gave the same one as I did. So I guess it means something. I think there's still something to be gained from this film, and it is a throwback. That's the best way I can put this film. Is a fantastic throwback.
Yeah.
To a different generation.
A time when, and this is something we didn't bring up, and I forgot to. A time when you would have 1,000 people enter a Nintendo game competition, and it's only 2 brackets of play.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You would think there'd be more brackets with that much money on the line.
4 people. Yeah, that's kind of fucking weird.
We'll have 1,000 people play. We'll get the best 3.
That's because
and there you go.
That's because back then, Kyle, people knew their limits. They weren't just fucking signing it up. Like they knew that Lucas and the Wizard were going to be there.
With $50,000 on the line, there would have been like fucking 5 rounds of play to narrow down.
From what I have learned about this film, I read up a little bit about this. One of the biggest reasons why this is a cult film is because people still actually hold video game Armageddons.
Yeah.
Like in reality.
Yeah, no, there was one recently at one of the big conventions. I forgot which one, where they like recreated the set and like had a tournament.
I would go ape shit if I saw that. Like no joke, and I would join in on it as well. Like the idea of playing a Nintendo game in competition.
I'm sure they do that.
Well, here's the thing about Nintendo games. They're so much harder than actual games nowadays.
Yeah, no, the thing I would say I found the most unbelievable in this game is how much he was just breezing through Mega Man. Like,
Well,
go
he-
fuck
Oh, how
yourself.
about Ninja Gaiden?
Go
Ninja
fuck
Gaiden-
yourself.
yeah,
Ninja Gaiden
Ninja
is
like one of the hardest games
of
ever.
all
I
time.
don't know. I always felt like I did pretty fair with that. Mega Man used to piss me off.
Mega Man was hard, but you know what? Ninja Turtles was a hard game
Yeah,
too.
Ninja Turtles is one of the hardest games
Especially
too.
the swimming level. It's
And Bo Bridges is going through that like it's nobody's business.
like, you know what? He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
He has
I
no
actually, from when I saw it previously, I do remember that whole end scene of playing Super Mario 3 as a lot grander in my mind.
It is because you got to understand. I mean,
that
from
when
when
that
I saw it in
happened-
the theaters, like that was the biggest. Like the idea of a commercial. It's like Avengers movie, right? We just saw the Spider-Man fucking, like the preview for the new Spider-Man movie, right? Trailer. Thank you very much for correcting me on that. The idea of like that being such an event that it gets its own fucking movie. I mean, it's nuts.
Right.
It's quite nuts. And the fact that propelled the game to become one of the best-selling video games of all time,
Mm-hmm.
like it boggles my mind. It like Nintendo's goal was to get into Hollywood to sell their games, and in a way, they kind of did a little bit. I mean, Mario Brothers fucking killed it.
Killed it. Yeah.
Killed it. Like
Now
they
Nintendo's
never
like,
made.
never again.
They'll never do it again. They'll do a theme park, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it is quite an amazing feat for something like that. It like Nintendo will always be the Disney of video games to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like this movie kind of propels that a little bit to some extent.
I feel like Mike is jerking off Nintendo right now.
It's
I've
deserved.
What's your
jerked-
rating, by the way?
It's a 2.5,
All
but
right.
for Nintendo, it's 4 solid strokes.
Not a 5.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Before we go, though, we got some more information for you. Make sure you come out to the Phoenix Film Festival. You see us. We really appreciate that. We'll be out there April 8th in the Party Pavilion from like 2:30 to 4:30. So come out, say hi, see us. We want to see you.
See you, see me.
Yeah, we want to see you, see me. Also, we got to do some shout outs. We got a shout outs aplenty tonight. I'm going to start first here. This one's from Grizak. He left us. This one's really long, so bear with me on this one. He said, very funny, very informative.
Thanks, Grizak.
Thank you, Grizak.
Hey, Zach, thanks.
I don't know where you're getting your information that we're informative, but we appreciate the lies. Next.
This one is from The 4 Friends I Wish I Had. I don't
That's
know.
not his
was-
name.
Yeah, that's not
That's a
the title.
That's the title of the review.
Mike's got
really?
a bunch of friends we don't know about.
His name is Nicholas M. Walker, though.
Nicholas M. Walker. He says, these are the 4 friends I wish I had. He said, I listened to one and I got hooked. I wish I had friends like these that love obscure movies as much as I do. Listening to these guys is the next best thing. While I have seen a good number of these movies, others I only know by reputation. So it's cool to go through these list of films they review and check them out on my own.
We encourage
You can tell these guys care about these movies and have a blast reviewing them. You know what we do? We do. If you love cult films, you have to subscribe. That's also true.
That is true. If you
That's
do love
accurate.
cold films, you
very,
should.
Very
yeah.
accurate.
You
Nicholas
have
M.
to
Walker,
subscribe.
and we appreciate your review. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas.
All right, guys, this one is from Julian66, and he labeled it a fun podcast with likable guys. We'll see. All right, so he writes, whether the movie is a cult film or not, this podcast is pretty enjoyable. The guys are funny, and the movies are they vary from so bad it's good to actual cult classics. Glad I found the show, and keep up the good work. Well, we'll try.
Nice. Thank you, Julian.
This one here is titled "Obsessed." It's by Mackenzie Lay.
Leah?
Yeah.
Leo?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie. Oh, shit.
I've binge listening since I have been introduced to this podcast, and I love it. My watch list has grown tremendously. Love you guys, but Cody is my favorite.
Now I'm purging.
Oh, there you go.
Purging.
See, now this is
I'm purging now.
these are the kind of reviews that we need.
No,
like, these are the
no.
ones that are going to set us up for success.
We need less of those.
These are the ones that are going to bring us to the next level.
And I'm happy to read off the final one we have for the night. It's written by Admiral Buckles. Solid name.
Love it.
I do like that
Kinda
name.
love it.
Yeah, he
Kinda
labeled
love it.
"It's like I'm in the room with them." And he says, "I love talking about movies, especially cult films, but not everyone shares my passion. The guys of Cult Film in Review do, and since they know more about the film process than me, I learned things too. Thanks. We're faking it well, I think, huh, guys?
I think fake it till you make it.
There you go.
And we haven't yet.
I don't always agree with them about the philosophical points, but since I'm usually in my car, I can voice my opinion without people thinking I'm crazy. It's like I'm on the podcast, sort of."
It's kind of like I feel like that's at me, Admiral. Like
Admiral Buckles, I think you're talking to Cody the most, but that's okay.
the philosophical.
We don't know that.
I don't know, but I feel like it is.
Maybe he just absolutely fucking hates Chris. and he's constantly like, Chris, speak up.
I thought he was talking
say
about where he
something,
says,
Chris.
I don't always agree with them. I thought that's what you meant when.
Yeah. He probably hated Chris for most of the time
Yeah,
until he found
true.
out how much Mike hates Bill Paxton, and then
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're going back to that.
You know
oldie
what?
but a goodie.
You know what, guys? I forgot about. We have even more news
Oh,
that I forgot to drop knowledge on for people.
bomb it.
But guess what, guys? We are giving you even more ways to listen to us now. So you can actually find our first 50 episodes on YouTube. And I don't want to brag about this, but our most viewed episodes, the 52 on YouTube, guess what they are?
Toxic Avenger, probably.
Congo.
Toxic Avenger in Congo. Thank you very much. My fan base has found me.
How many
on
times?
the
How many
YouTube.
times have you clicked that video in the last 2 days, Cody?
So make sure you guys go on there and you check out our first
Click
50
the
episodes.
subscribe button because
Definitely.
we do have more shit coming out to the YouTube channel, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
yeah.
Right? We've got some video stuff coming out soon,
It's gonna
and
be flowing like a river.
I'm really
Flowing
glad that we
like
got
a
on this
river.
new medium. What you
They
YouTube.
call it YouTube, Mike.
YouTube?
I don't know what the tube is, but I know
I
who
don't
you
understand
are.
how that works out, but thank you very much. You know who you are.
So you can go there and get our first 50 episodes, and you can listen to them right from YouTube.
Cool.
That's your thing. That's what you want to do. All right, guys. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram at cultfilm_review. Also on Twitter at cultfilm_review. You can follow us on Facebook. Just look up Cult Film and Review. You can also follow Kyle.
You can follow him on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris.
Cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
And you can follow Mike.
At Mike Salustio on Twitter.
And you can follow Cody.
You can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram.
Go to www.cultfilmreview.com to check out all past episodes, articles, and whatever. The hell
Dude, we
else.
have so much for you guys to fucking check out. Just do it.
Yeah.
Leave us a review. We really appreciate
5
that.
stars.
5
5
stars. That's our show for this week. So remember, if you're going to join a cult, just make sure they watch good movies. See you next week.